PBS is here is live at 5 on WCTE PBS and its streaming platforms to provide updates on communities throughout Central Tennessee.
Welcome to this episode of Live at 5. I'm Cephas Ablakwa, and we have a wonderful show for you today. Our first guest is the latest addition to our WCTE team, Gaggle Safety. Gaggle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cephas. Well, my role is project manager of at-home learning, and I came to WCTE having 6 years of broadcast and cable television experience, as well as being a certified educator for 19 years. But my practical experience in the classroom was 5 years as a bilingual ESL educator in the Dallas Metropolitan School District. And most recently, I had spent some time in Cumberland County Schools teaching there. Yes, Tennessee PBS is a consortium of 6 public television stations throughout the state of Tennessee, and it relates to WCTE because the management of Tennessee PBS is housed here with yourself and me.
And thank you for that explanation. So with that said, what are some of the projects that fall under Tennessee PBS?
Well, primarily under the at-home learning umbrella is data casting, which is a wonderful new technology that previously was used by public safety, but is now being applied in education to fill the digital divide of those children and students in Tennessee who do not have broadband access. So through data casting, which is having lesson plans that are constructed by teachers on Google Classrooms and Canvas, having them broadcast over the public broadcasting television stations to their homes where they don't need broadband internet to receive information from their teachers.
And if I may add to that, or you can correct me if I'm wrong, broadband is the best for the students, but you're saying that if they don't have broadband, then what are the other options if we don't have datacast?
The other options are like for instance, in Monterey, some of the students are having to have their parents drive them to a parking lot, I believe, of the library and pick up a signal there. So it's a very strenuous and inconvenient way to get data.
Well, that's exactly right. So that they either drive there or they have to have paper packets. So data casting will fill that gap?
Absolutely. And nationally, there are about 16 million students that are affected by the gap. And here in Tennessee, that converts to, hundreds of thousands of students that don't have broadband right now.
Wonderful. So it sounds like a great program. Where can the districts and some of the teachers or schools go to find out more information about data casting? Do we have a site or anything like that yet?
We have a site that's under construction, and we are looking forward in the next couple of weeks to publishing that. So they will be able to go to that site and learn all about at-home learning and Tennessee PBS and data casting, and our other program that comes under at-home learning, which is Starting with Sounds.
Oh, so tell us a little bit about Starting with Sounds.
Starting with Sounds is a wonderful series of videos that were composed into 3 half-hour segments that are aired on our channels, on the channels of the PBS broadcasting service during the at-home learning block from 9 to 9:30 on Wednesday mornings.
And I had to put you on the spot, but do you have any idea of some of the artists or one of the artists that's on that show?
Yes, Carl Ray is on that show, and Kathy Mattea is on that show. Scott Hamilton did a show, and I'm trying to remember her last name, but Reese, do you remember her last name?
I don't, but those are all singers or musicians, right? And so what exactly do they do when they present this on this show?
Well, I think one of the most important things that they do is inspire the young children to be inspired to learn how to read. And what they actually do is read a story to the students or the children that are watching about a topic, whether they wrote the book, like
Right.
Scott Hamilton wrote a book about cancer and how to talk about that. And Carl Ray read a book about the tiger in my soup, and then he composed a song about it. So things of that nature.
Well, thank you, Gail. We've got about 30 seconds. So before we go, we are going to cut to a video from the commissioner on the town hall that happened in Jackson County. Could you set that up for us? Could you tell us a little bit? Because I know we both went to that town hall.
Sure. It happened on November 30th, and members of the community of the Upper Cumberland from as far away as Crossville came in, and Sparta, and even Bledsoe County to attend the town hall. And let's take a look at the rest of it so we can see.
Well, thank you so much, Gail, and it's good to have you on the show. Right now, we have a clip from the interview that I had with Commissioner Schwinn at the town hall in Jackson County.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner
Ew.
Schwinn, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
So after all this time with this town halls, how do you feel? What do you feel like was accomplished in this time from the first one to the last one?
So I feel like in these first 8 town halls, we've really been able to hear from Tennesseans. And part of this is about making sure that no matter where folks live, they know they have a voice, whether it's at the town hall, whether it's social media messaging us, submitting comments in email. But we have gotten some really good themes about what people want for public education, and I'm excited about what that can mean for kids.
So how does this translate into the EP formula and all the legislative session that's coming out, all the information that's gathered?
Yeah, so all of this information is going to one of our 18 subcommittees. Those subcommittees will provide recommendations, and then we'll build the formula over the next 6 to 8 weeks. If the General Assembly and the governor would like to move forward, we will present that to them and they can make a decision, but we are optimistic that we'll get to a place that everyone feels is better in terms of what we can provide for students in schools.
So for the Tennesseans that missed the town halls, where can they go to add more input if they wanted to?
Absolutely. So they can email us at tnedu.funding@tn.gov. So that is the first way. So email us there. They can message us on social media. We've gotten some things that have been mailed to our office. That is fine. We also have a lot of folks who are giving it to their district office because that feels more accessible, and districts are sending that directly to us as well.
So as a parent, that you've spoken about that a couple of times, yes, and you seem to have a lot of confidence in the formula and how it's going. So tell us from the parent standpoint. You've talked about it from the commissioner standpoint. Can you talk about it just briefly from the parent standpoint?
Yeah, so I've got 2 girls that are in public school right now, and I've got a lot of hopes and dreams for what our schools will help them become and the women they will become when they grow up. And when we have a new funding formula that funds the needs of each of my kids, just like the other million, as a parent, I know that Ellie's going to get what she needs, which is very different than what Abby needs. And so we want a funding formula that meets the needs of individual students and not big conglomerate systems. And I think as a parent, I feel good knowing the state is funding my girls specifically and what their needs will be to achieve their dreams.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank
you for
you.
your time. It's good to have you in the Upper Cumberland region.
Yes, and it's always nice to see you.
So that was an interview that I had with Commissioner Schwinn, about the new BEP formula, and she gave the website that you can go to and get more information if you need. Our next guest is Nikki Goins from Cookeville High School, Putnam County Schools, and she is a cosmetology teacher, and she's here to tell us about a new and exciting new program that they have. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been teaching.
I am on my 8th year teaching. My career started when I was in high school. I was also enrolled in the Cosmetology Program at the Cookeville High School under Martha Dyer. I was in the program for about 3 years. I was an officer in the club, and then I continued my hours at TCAT Livingston under Robert Mick. I went to do hair at the Ritz Salon. After that, I went to Fringe Salon. I've been there probably 8 years. I'm still currently doing hair behind the chair. One day, Miss Dyer, Martha Dyer, asked me if I'd come in and teach the girls a class. And after I did, I loved it. Loved everything about it. Then I found out she was retiring. So I took the risk. I went back to school, got my instructor's license, and then applied for her job. And fortunately, I was happy that I got it.
So how long have you been teaching at the Cookeville High School?
This is my 8th year.
8th year, and I think we were both at the school together. We taught for
Yes.
a brief time, maybe 3 or 4 years together. And
Yes.
I remember how many students were excited to take your class. So tell us a little bit about your cosmetology program.
Students can start or enroll in the class their freshman year of high school. Some students take it, use every elective that they have, and they'll take my class over and over again. There's Cosmetology 1 that has the basics of cosmetology. We go over life skills, get them ready for a job. We do structure of the hair, safety test, pretty much the basics on the hair and the nails, manicure, polish. The students can move up to Cosmetology 2 and 3, which I make it a double class, so they're in there longer. These students will learn how to do acrylics. They'll learn haircut. They'll learn different types of haircuts, application for hair color, and rolling perms, and so forth. Then now they can take that class up to 3 times a piece. And now we currently have the TCAT class that they can take at the very end.
So how with all these, it seems like some of these things may be new, some of these things may have already been set up there. But talk about the growth of the class and the program over the years.
Over the years, the girls, I know COVID was very hard on us. Over the years, they have pushed and strived to become better, and I see that in class. I know that a lot of the girls don't look at the class as any other class. They push the work to try to do better, but these are also skills that they can use outside of school. They're constantly going to be fixing hair. When they get older, they're going to have children to fix their hair. But throughout the years, even outside of my classroom, we have a club, and our club gets involved with the community. We have officers that hold leadership roles. But even when they enroll into cosmetology their freshman year, they start earning hours. And these hours go to the State Board of Cosmetology. You have to have 1,500 hours to take your state board exam. So after taking it over and over for 4 years, I have students that graduate with anywhere from 800 hours to 1,000 hours.
Wow.
So they only have 500 hours left. And that's when we enroll the senior year. Even if they don't know where they're going to go, I enroll them for school. So they do have a path. They may change their mind when they graduate. They're in post-secondary school for maybe 4 to 6 months. So even a lot of them are out by Christmas and starting their career in the spring.
So it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of great things and a lot of new things. But one particular new tradition has caught my eye, and which is the main reason we have you on our program. Could you tell us about your new tradition at Cookville High School?
Last week, it was put together with me and Leah Burnett of going to elementary and middle schools to cut the kids' hair. These are kids that were picked out by the counselors or by the teachers. It was a great opportunity. It started with pretty much Leah Burnett and I having a conversation. And I told her, I kind of pushed the idea off, and she told me she informed me it was a great idea because she's even taking kids to get a haircut, and the excitement on their face of something so small that they're going to enjoy this. And the more the exciting things was like, who gets a haircut at school? So they felt extremely special to come get a haircut. This is something that we want to start pushing every year. I wanted to aim right before the holidays so they have a nice haircut whenever they go and celebrate Christmas. And I would love to do it right before the summer. So it's hot, or when it gets hot, it gets all the hair off of them. It gives them a cooler summer, and it may, depending on how fast their hair grows, keep them a good haircut by the time school starts back.
And when you say kids, just so our audience are clear, you're talking about elementary school kids, right? What are the age groups are we talking about?
We reached out to every elementary school in Putnam County. We had 6 that replied. We went all the way from kindergarten to 4th grade. I would love if we could do an opportunity to cut every kid's hair in Putnam County, especially the ones that are in need. I've even reached out to our counselors for students that need a haircut at Cookeville High School, as long as they're not missing anything, to give them haircuts. Because I know that it is something so small, but at the same time, it still makes everyone feel so good.
Well, Nikki, that's a great program that you're doing, and I'm sure those kids' lives are blessed with that, and they're excited to get a haircut from you. So thank you so much for being on our program. We'll be right back with Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Lindsay Pride, editor of the Herald Citizen, with your story of the week. A defamation lawsuit filed by a former Livingston Academy teacher against parents who accused him of sexual harassment has been dismissed. Mark Lee, a science teacher, sued Tanya Mitchell, Erica Pauline Troop Harris, Tasha Danielle Dishman, Michael Kennard, Ronnie Rudd, and Carol M. Bilbrey Rudd for defamation, according to a complaint filed in 2020. Lee was suspended in March 2020 without pay, pending an investigation by 13th Judicial District Attorney Bryant Dunaway, after several people accused Lee of inappropriate contact with students. But the DA ultimately wrote a letter to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation that no criminal charges were filed against Lee because there wasn't enough evidence that he committed a crime. Lee denied all allegations during the investigation. However, Lee was removed from his teaching position at Livingston Academy in July 2020 and was reassigned to a virtual teaching position at Reach Academy in Overton County. The complaints against Lee date back to 2017, according to Cookeville attorney Brett Knight. One of the complaints regarded the way Lee interacted with a 15-year-old female student. Students said that Lee would make comments about how he liked a certain part of her body and that the teacher would call her to his desk and rub up against her. That student altered her clothing, wearing hoodies to try to prevent Lee from looking down her shirt. Last week, Circuit Court Judge Jonathan Young dismissed Lee's defamation suit against the parents and ordered that Lee pay court costs and other fees accrued by the lawsuit and issued sanctions to deter repetition of similar conduct by Lee. You can read more about this story at herald-citizen.com and in our Wednesday's print edition. Thank you and good night.
Welcome back to Live at 5 with our last guest, Dr. Trey Upchurch from Putnam County School. Dr. Trey, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. Please, before we get started into the reason you're here, just tell us briefly about yourself and the role that you play with the school system.
So I am the Director of Student Services for Putnam County, and our role is to provide resources to students and families across the school system. This is my, ninth year in Putnam County Schools.
And when you say role and resources, could you expound on that a little bit? Because I know how vast that those resources are. I think we go anything from mental health. And could you expand on some of those services a little bit more?
Absolutely. So our office does encompass a lot of different pieces. We have the nursing department chair is located in our building. We have the family engagement coordinator, and that person goes to individual schools and helps coordinate activities for family outreach. And then we have our homeless liaison. She also provides resources such as clothing, food. The list is pretty lengthy, what she does. And then within our building, we also have Miss Cindy Putnam. I think a lot of people probably know Miss Cindy.
Right.
She's involved with a lot of different programs. We are very fortunate to have her. And then we also have Miss Sheila Barker, who is our mental health coordinator. And Sheila is responsible for oversight for counselors, social workers, and also provides support for individual teachers and students when they need that assistance as well.
And lastly, my role is in your department as well. And the work we do here at WCTE is directly linked to the things that you do in your office, correct?
Absolutely. And that's a partnership that I've been excited to be a part of since taking this role. And, this is a small part of it, but I know that we have some great things on the horizon.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for being on the show. Well, you're here because I've heard about this new thing that you're doing. It may not be new, but it's new to me. So Gaggle, and I don't want to misrepresent it. So you just tell us a little bit about it and we can talk more about it.
So 2 years ago, our technology director, which is Mr. Johnny Sloan, shared a product that he thought might be useful for Putnam County schools, and that was Gaggle. And it took about a year to fully get the product implemented. But now that it allows us real-time monitoring of Gmail, Google Chat, and Google Documents. And so when there are things that would, things that are harmful for students, we can get an immediate alert depending on the severity of the situation, all the way down to hey, this student's interacting in a way that we don't think is appropriate. It might be something you want to pull them and have a discussion about. It's something that we've long needed. I think everyone knows that the power of technology, but there's also the side that we all worry about. And this allows us to bridge some of that security and safety issues that we had in the past.
And for some of our audience and viewers that are not familiar with that, could you just talk a little bit about, it doesn't have to be specifically local, it could be nationally, of why this technology is necessary. Why is it important that these things are flagged as students are chatting across these applications?
So for some of the smaller issues, it just allows us to paint a picture of some struggles that a student may have, whether it's with self-harm or it could be with interpersonal relationships with other students in the building. And it will flag those things and it alerts the administration, the counselors, and so they can address it on a larger scope and scale. And those real-time threats, it's students who have intent for self-harm that's beyond anything imaginable. And those things that, in the past, we had no way to identify other than if the student came to us. Obviously there's some physical things that you look for, but never before have we been able to monitor these things where a student may put their thoughts of self-harm in writing, and that would trigger a counselor now or an administrator, and that's 24/7. And so there's been multiple calls that we've dealt with, 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, but very warranted. They have a very specific set of guidelines that they follow to flag and alert for these events. And, in the past where some of that stuff, the timing wasn't what we'd like it to be. This is within sometimes minutes, and it allows us to really to grasp on what's going on.
Right. And could you talk about some of the responses we're getting from either on the parent side or on the faculty and staff side of this?
Honestly, nothing but positives. From a parent standpoint, thankful, very appreciative of the fact that we were able to call them and give them a heads up so they were able to do a welfare check. A lot of times when we receive the immediate threat notice, we can reach out to parents, they can do the welfare check, and then we can start the process of discussions. For the teachers, it alleviates a little bit of the concern that they have with students being able to access technology in the classroom and do it in a way that's focused on education and not some of the things that they can tend to get into if they're able to. And this really puts
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it puts a very specific set of guidelines in on what students can do with that media.
Well, we have about a minute left, and so before we go, I do know that sometimes your department and any student service department in any county sometimes is the one guest that gets overlooked. Could you talk briefly where you can be found and where are some of the places that, in case parents or even teachers or principals are watching this, where they could go to find out more information about not only about Gaggle but about your department as a whole?
The first step is always at the individual schools. The administration and the counselors, we've done what I feel like is a very concerted effort this year to make sure everyone knows what we do and the things we can offer. So start at the school level, reach out to those counselors. They're going to know how to reach us, and they can also provide a better overview of specific things that we can do and help with.
Dr. Upchurch, it is so great to have you on this show. Thank you for coming, and hopefully you'll come back to talk to us some more. We'll be right back with a closing for Live at 5.
In celebration of the holiday season, join us for the Cookeville, Putnam County Christmas Parade this year as we honor our incredible hometown heroes, the selfless men and women that devote their lives to helping others. Tune in or stream to see the sights and sounds of visually stunning floats as a festive and inspiring way to celebrate and cheer on your favorite marching bands, dancers, and organizations as they trumpet and whirl past the Putnam County Courthouse Square.
On the next episode of It's Your Business, we learn from successful business owners Barjay Zalatebi, president of Arcs Aviation, as well as Kim Johnson, owner of the Painted House Home and Gift Store. Join us right here for another incredible episode of It's Your Business.
On Masterpiece.
The king and queen are coming to stay.
Here they come now.
Can I help you?
Someone must, sir. I may never rise again.
Downton Abbey on Masterpiece.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Live at 5. Remember, it is donations and your contribution to your local WCTE PBS station that keeps shows like this on air. Don't forget about year-end giving, and Donna Matson will be hosting next week's episode of Live at 5. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening.
Join us back for the encore on Sunday at noon. A brand new show of Live at 5 will return at 5 p.m. next Thursday. Thank you for watching.